Welcome back to the channel. In today's video, I want to showcase a pretty cool technique I've been using a lot recently. It's a dynamic horizontal transition that's cool in fashion videos, product videos, a lot of different scenarios. And it's called the slide technique. Okay, so the slide technique is basically a series of horizontal speed ramps where you can go between different points of interest. It's a super easy technique and a lot of it is done in post, but today I'm gonna show you exactly how I go ahead and shoot it, and then afterwards we'll talk about the post a little bit and just go over the whole editing process. You're like, damn, this boy's struggling.
So cinematic for no reason.
There we go, we're good. All right, real quickly, before you go ahead and start shooting, you're gonna wanna go ahead and make sure you're shooting at, I typically say 60 FPS. Sometimes you can get away with 30 FPS, but I like to shoot at 60. Not always at 120, but 60 is probably enough for this. All right, so for this first clip, I'm gonna go ahead and dolly zoom into piece, and then I'm gonna start the transition by moving to the right. All right, ready? Yep. Look straight, yep. Three, 2, 1. Cool, perfect. Okay, so when you're shooting your series of movements, one thing I like to do is I actually like to start at where I'm gonna end up. So in this case, we're gonna go ahead and shoot piece. I wanna end up with piece kind of centered off to the side here. And so what I'm gonna go ahead and do is start at this location and then move the direction that I'm going to use the movement in. So in this case, because I had the first shot with piece moving to the right, I'm gonna go ahead and enter from the right, but in this case, I'm gonna shoot piece here, start out with the focus locked right here, and then move to the left so that I can speed ramp it later in post. This will make more sense once we edit the clips together. I'm gonna tap to focus. Yeah, just hold that. And I like to do this just a couple times. And sometimes I also like to do it both directions, just in case later I want to change the edit up. Just keep in mind that when you're shooting, you want to make sure that you move all the way so that your subject leaves the frame. All right. Do it one more time. The hard thing is keeping track of everything. So I've shot you coming in, I've gone to the right, into the portrait, I've gone again to the shoe, this time I'm going back to the right, so I'm gonna go in this way, okay. The other way. And one more time. We've gone right, left to your shoes, to the watch. I'm gonna end on a full body. Okay, so let's get you. Yeah, hold that. Hit it one more time. So some key takeaways when you're shooting this. One of the easiest ways to do this is to start on the point that you actually want to speed ramp into. So a lot of times I started on the location of piece, either his shoes or his Apple Watch or whatever. I started at that location and then moved into the direction that the movement I had planned out for the whole sequence. You want to plan out the movements somewhat. If you don't have your movements planned out, you can go ahead and shoot both directions just to be safe with it. I do it a lot of times if I'm not 100% sure which way I want to go about it. Oftentimes I like to do 4 or 5 angles. I'll start out with like a medium shot, I'll go tight into details, and then I'll finish with a kind of like wide medium shot sometimes. Just whatever is fun and visually interesting. I highly recommend shooting this on a gimbal. This is the DJI RS3 Pro. I use the DJI RS2. There are a bunch of other companies that make great gimbals. Just making sure that you have a stable movement going into your final location ensures that when you do the speed ramp, everything's nice and smooth and it doesn't look super jittery. You just want a nice, stable movement horizontally. Okay, so for the editing process, what you wanna go ahead and do is get your timeline set up, get all of your clips, your final selects, the good takes that you've actually shot, and align them in whatever sequence makes the most sense, whatever sequence makes like movement sense, whether you're going left to right, just make sure it's seamless, it flows all super well together. And then the key for this transition, it's super easy, is you're gonna want to go ahead and create speed ramps. And so essentially these are velocity curves in the speed of your clip. In Premiere Pro, if you right click the little effects thing, it goes into time remapping and you can click speed. And once you click speed, you can then create keyframes. And this is where the magic happens. I like to go ahead and increase the speed up to sometimes like 1,000%, sometimes 1,500%. You just gotta play around with what works for you. But I think the key sweet spot for creating these keyframes is to increase your curve, sort of like in an S curve, over 5 to 6 frames. I think anything more than that or anything less than that sometimes just doesn't look as smooth. I found that when you go from 100% speed, normal speed, up to, let's say like 1,000, 1,500% over 6 frames, that's where the magic happens. Once you've created your speed ramps, then the final step is you're gonna wanna add motion blur. Adding motion blur is easier in certain applications. After Effects, you can force motion blur. In Premiere Pro, I use a plugin called RSMB, Real Smart Motion Blur. You just add it onto an adjustment layer over your speed ramp portions, and it creates this super seamless motion blur that makes everything feel super seamless, super natural, almost as smooth as that guy's carrying cart. So yeah, that was a quick tutorial. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments below. If you have any questions on like the shooting techniques, editing techniques, feel free, like, subscribe, all that jazz, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Should I go? Welcome.